I have to begin with a disclosure, an important in the interest of honesty, which is I have often described myself as the oldest living molecular biologist who has not started a company. So as I thought about what I could do this morning in talking to you, particularly about innovation and its application to social entrepreneurship, I would really focus on the lessons that I have learned as a scientist, as a molecular biologist, and the ingredients that I believe are important in science for innovation. And as I was thinking about these, it really did immediately occur to me how applicable these ideas are as you try and take innovation into entrepreneurship. So let's begin. The first is you must begin with a big idea. If you are going to make a difference in the world, you cannot think small, you have to think big. So we have scientists here at Princeton who are trying to understand how the universe began. That's a big idea. We have scientists at Princeton thinking about the nature of human consciousness at the molecular level. That is a big idea. And when you want to begin as an innovator, you want to be sure that you are beginning with something that is ambitious and bigger than you. Now, in the area of entrepreneurship, I think this is clearly played out in many ways, and I'm going to focus on a number of examples in social entrepreneurship. When Wendy Kopp wrote her senior thesis in 1989 proposing Teach for America, that was a big idea. And it began literally sort of full form in that senior thesis. If you go back and read that senior thesis, it is Teach for America. When I'll give you another example which shows that big ideas don't have to always begin fully formed. When Paul Farmer, as a medical student at Harvard University, went to volunteer in a small hospital in the hills of Haiti, he was not beginning with what I would call a big idea. He was volunteering as a medical student, but he turned that experience into a big idea, which became Partners in Health, one of the most effective public health organizations working globally now around the world on HIV and multi-drug resistance TB. So he turned that experience into what was truly a big idea. Now, once you have a big idea, you have to have, it seems to me, two extraordinarily important characteristics. You have to be able and willing to take risks. It's been my experience that nothing really can be done if you are not prepared to be a risk taker. And when you're a risk taker, it means that you also have to be willing to fail. My best example of that from Princeton is Andrew Wiles, who about 10 years ago solved Fermat's last theorem, a mathematical puzzle that had existed for over 300 years that mathematicians had been trying to understand and trying to solve and had failed. Andrew, who is a member of our Department of Mathematics, spent 7 years literally in his attic here in Princeton, New Jersey, trying to solve Fermat's last theorem. And when he first went public with the solution, it had a fatal flaw in it. It had a mistake that essentially made the solution inappropriate. And rather than sort of giving up, what he did is turn to his colleagues and said, I need some help. I need you to help work with me to figure out where my mistake was. And working with colleagues collaboratively, he was able to, in fact, find the flaw in his solution and, in the end, solve one of the most important mathematical puzzles of our time. So risk-taking and a willingness to make mistakes and recover from those mistakes. The next thing you have to be able to do is inspire others and inspire them to buy into your vision and to work hard on behalf of it. There is no success that I know of in the field of either innovation or entrepreneurship where it has been the result of a single person's vision, a single person's sweat equity. And so learning how to engage others with your idea, which importantly means not making it about you, but making it about the idea. When it becomes all about you, no one can share in it. But when it is about the idea, then people can really buy into it. So learning how to inspire. The next is always thinking ahead about where the impact is going to come from. Now, in science, that often means looking for the generality of the work that you're conducting. And what do I mean by that? The best example I can use to give you a sense of what I mean by generality is, again, turning to a colleague of ours at Princeton, Eric Wischhaus, who won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1995 for uncovering the genetic pathways that determine the development of a fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster. Now, had the genes that Eric uncovered been simply genes that regulate development in the fruit fly, my guess is he would not have received the Nobel Prize for that. There are not so many people interested in how fruit flies develop in the great wider world. But of course, what happened is the genes that he uncovered turned out to be the genes that regulate development in you and me. And so he was able to take a very specific questions and generalize the results of his answers, and as a consequence have a profound impact on how we understand human biology and, in many cases now, applications to human health. Now, in entrepreneurship, I think impact is not simply generality, but I think impact has to be also about scalability. And that is something that entrepreneurs need to be thinking about, it seems to me, very early in the process, which is it is wonderful when someone invents something that is going to have a very small impact on a very small number of people. I call that onesies and twosies, being able to have an impact in a limited way, and we celebrate those impacts, but those are not going to change history. Where you begin to change history is when you can scale your discoveries. You can make them have impact in a broader community, in more countries around the globe. So thinking about this early on, rather than late in the game, is what I am going to do here, trying to do. Is it going to be scalable? Is a very important way of having an impact. And then the other part of impact, which is extraordinarily important, is sustainability. There are many good ideas that have sort of blossomed, that have had their day in the sun, and no one can remember them 10 years from that moment. So if you want to really change the world, and if you really want to have an impact, from the beginning, you should be thinking about sustainability. How are you going to sustain this wonderful thing that you have created? Very, very important. And so those are some of the thoughts that I have had about how I have thought about careers in science as I have watched the many, many Princeton scientists who have gone on, in fact, to innovate in extraordinary ways, the engineers who've gone on to take that innovation and turn it into things that make the world a better place. And as you engage in this conference today, I hope some of those ideas are percolating through your mind as you hear from some of the truly successful innovators who are on your program today. I'm very pleased that you're hosting this conference at Princeton. Thank you.